Today is Tuesday. It's the 15th of February. Welcome to Early Rise. I'm Ronnie Thwaites. Later I'll be joined by Pearnel Charles. Thanks for joining us. This is the station that reaches out to Jamaicans everywhere, that lifts up the Jamaican spirit in the midst of your winter, in the warmth of our tropic environment. It's the time, it's the place for us to link and for us to be thoughtful about all the things that make up our identity, our prospects, our great future as a nation. We believe in this country, we believe in its people, despite all of the dips and the fallbacks, the jerkiness of life. There's goodness amongst us. And so we celebrate by reviewing the news, by giving you the messages of the day, by offering constructive criticism, by using the faculty of the mind, the greatest aspect of human living, to think out things, how we can make life more fruitful, not just for some, they know how, but for everybody. Isn't that a tremendous odyssey on which we'd like to combine and to cooperate? So join us. The Bridge 99 FM 1.13579 on the FM dial, and live stream www.thebridge99fm.com wherever you are in the world. And we would be elated, honored, if the Bridge 99 FM text line were to be operative, as it is, 876-551-5782. Send us WhatsApp whenever you like. And the studio line for direct contact is 876-676-4996. A unique experiment in mass media to Jamaica, to the world. The Bridge 99. Coming up in today's program at 6:30 this morning, that the one and only Senator Floyd Morris, former President of the Senate, previously Minister of State in the Ministry of Local Government and Social Security. And he says he wants to jump. That's what he says. That's a headline in the Observer today, one of them. Yes, I want to jump. This is because of the Disabilities Act coming into effect. You know, everybody knows Floyd Morris is visually impaired, but he lives a full life, and he has been an advocate for those who are challenged in any way, mentally, physically. 10% of our population, probably more. Yes, the sign of the health of a nation is how we deal with those who are challenged, not how we allow those and facilitate those who are already strong, wealthy, well-fed, etc., to become more so, you know. That only kills them. I wonder if you know that. Yes? And yet that's what we do most of the time. So Floyd gives us a counterpoint, yes, a part of counterculture, which is so important to national health. Bigger than just the assistance, if you can be bigger than just the manifest assistance that the Disabilities Act will provide. But it says something deeply spiritual about how we want to live as a people. All right, so that's 6:30 this morning. Plenty before then, plenty after then as well. Okay, told you again how you can get in touch with us. Told you what the philosophy of this station is. Yeah, radio is such an important medium. World Radio Day was, I think, Sunday. And, you know, many people thought that radio was going to be eclipsed by social media and television and instant communication. Well, radio is instant communication, and it's also delayed communication too, because you can hear this program anytime you choose to log on, you know, on the internet. But the modality of radio is universal. It's cheap. And it allows for wide dispersal of news and views. The late Rex Nettleford used to say it was a safety valve for people to sound off. And he was right. But there's much more to it than that. And he knew it and respected it, because it's a chance for deepening the democracy, you know, and for engaging people positively, hopefully with good humor, and always with a generous spirit in the affairs of their community. So you have heaps of radio stations now on the internet and on free-to-air and by every technological means possible. And that's to the good. And we must never do two things. We must never suppress radio, yes, That's a constitutional right for freedom of speech. But we who are on radio must never abuse it. Yeah, we must never trivialize it, because we have the unparalleled opportunity, unknown for almost 20 centuries of recorded existence, of being able to speak to people in huge numbers, in broad spectrum. Yeah, I have never ceased to recognize the privilege that is. Okay, sure, you can turn off someone who annoys you on the radio, you can switch channels and all of that. But the fact that there is the capacity to attract many, to influence some, is a tremendous capacity, to be compared with those who write text, vitally important, media of record through all the ages, but often ignored after a time, or indeed absolutely. Radio, instant, immediate, forming opinions, guiding character, presenting the goodness and sometimes the badness of a people. So we respect radio, and we celebrate World Radio Day, and we call ourselves and all other people who are having the privilege, the great privilege of being journalists, to recognize the sublime importance of our calling. So there we go. I always tell you the weather in Jamaica. I'm sure it makes some of you grumble me when you're facing the asperities of winter. The Meteorological Service of Jamaica's forecast for today, Tuesday, February the 15th, is that this morning it will be partly cloudy, mainly across northeastern parishes, and elsewhere it will be mainly sunny. Meanwhile, this afternoon we can expect isolated showers across hilly areas and southwestern parishes. It will be windy, especially across coastal areas of the south coast. Okay, give thanks. Well, the news of the day. The Gleaner this morning says that the gentleman who is the chairman of the Sandals Group, Mr. Adam Stewart, is warning the Gleaner and RJR, the media company, that they mustn't print any stories that are unwarranted and critical of him. You remember he expressed some views last week that the COVID guidelines were untoward, that any preference of those who were vaccinated in relation to those who were not would be inappropriate. I'm paraphrasing what Mr. Stewart is reported as saying, but he certainly got a response, and that is perfectly reasonable in the free society in which we live. Yes, and I am so sorry that he feels offended. I don't follow the tirades on social media, but if you are in the public space, you have to expect that there are going to be people who criticize, and unfortunately, and here I think is where Mr. Stewart is appropriately annoyed, that people usually, or often, not usually, may I correct myself, often, sometimes, attack you personally when they don't like your views. And of course, that's nonsense. That's wrong. Yes, and you're right in taking exception to that. But we who are in public life can't be thin-skinned, Yes, everybody has a right to express their views and respond to your views. And as one who faces it daily and has over 50 years and more, you have to, the best thing to do, and I commend Mr. Adam Stewart, who I admire. Don't know him well, but I admire him. I commend to him his father's experience and his father's conduct, because Butch had a broad back, and I don't know that he would react in this way, threatening suit against media reports. So that's a personal view, and I hope it's a charitable one, but a firm one, yes? And the fact is that we are, as a society, wrestling over what we have to do in response to COVID and its surges and its It's declines. Right now, it appears that Miss Omicron or Mr. Omicron, depending on your gender bias, is receding, but still, a positivity rate of 15% is 3 times what the accepted level of normality, if you can use that term, ought to be. And so we must take care of ourselves. There are people I know, hundreds, indeed thousands I hear, of those who don't want to send their children back to school because they feel that they're unprotected. So Adam and others like you, there is a case for continuing the protocols. And the government and Minister Tufton, I believe, are being advised by the medical fraternity. I've heard Dr. Bisesa McKenzie, who's certainly become a credible source of information, Professor Davidson, Professor Figueroa, many others, Bailey, all saying, hey, take it easy. Don't bother, relax and throw away the mask and monks up yourself in a party and go on saying like nothing. Because there is something. People are dying. When 12 people die a day, yes, or if it's even 2, yeah, a big thing that. And therefore, let us be careful of what we're doing. And I recognize the impact on business. Oh, Lord, do I recognize the impact on education, on church attendance, on entertainment. But look, we need to take time with each other under this scourge that we are experiencing. So a little mood change this morning is good for us to introduce that element of the news. You see, so take it easy. That doesn't mean slackness. When you say take it easy, it don't mean slackness, oddly. Yes, it means being patient and compassionate, and stopping some of the sharp responses which appear to be to big up yourself rather than helping people to cope with a very difficult situation. What a preke going on. Preke, can you spell it? But we know what it means, don't we? People on the bridge, anywhere. Yeah. I would like somebody to tell me how to spell preke and how to spell fenke. Yeah. The Jamaican language is wonderful, And you notice how on the early rise we are bilingual, though I can never match the earthy lingo of the Honorable Pearnel Charles. But we learned from him out of the bowels of central Jamaica. Good. But what a preke is taking place in the United States, where the accounting firm, Richie, the accounting firm for Mr. Trump, yeah, the basis on which this man has built this huge empire, hey, him lamps, that's another Jamaican word, lamps? Yes, preke. Thank you, Prekkeh, by the linguist Lafayne. But Mr. Trump, no favorite of mine, you know that. Just bear with me. He uses accounting records to lamps up whole heap of banks and whole heap of government, taxman and everything. And now the accounting firm, is saying not 1 year, but 10 years of his accounts. Hey, we do it, but we now have information that makes us say, don't rely on them. Yes? It's a full thing, you see. And no, but look, ordinary people, yes, who deal with tax administration in Jamaica, they get locked up and surcharge and all kind of thing for them thing, And this is a big man who is the president of the United States, yes, who, God forbid, want to be president again, yes, and just lamps up everybody. And what is worse, what is a real preke, Prekkeh, is that there are millions of people who are prepared to excuse him and to say, forward, what we say on dancehall stage, oddly, forward Trump. Despite all of this, I tell you, my concern, Bridge Nation, is what is going on in their heads. Okay? And you see, because we love follow fashion, it's another lovely Jamaican phrase, follow fashion, American people. I don't want us to get contaminated with that kind of immorality, Yeah? That kind of bad vibes, where we believe that I know nothing. Yes? I am so ashamed of that Jamaican origin woman in where she come from, Virginia, who is they call it lieutenant, we call it lieutenant governor, yeah, who opposed with gun in her hand and get elected, yeah, and who's more right wing than Trump. Yeah, man. Me no check for her at all. I said, sorry. That is not the Jamaican spirit. And she ain't no nanny, you know. She ain't no fight for no freedom. Yeah. She pure rudeness set me over this morning. She ain't no show her bottom to the British. she she exposed herself to accommodation and submission to the worst kind of behavior and tendency, where you settle disputes by carrying a gun, by you feel that you can't live with your brother or sister in peace, so you have to arm yourself. So if anything, them mash your corn, yes, literally or metaphorically, you just shot them. So them think, you know, yes, they bring the Wild West of the 19th century into the sophistication of the 21st century. Yes? My goodness. Yeah, well, we have our problems, you see, but there are those people who in Jamaica, let me talk it now, there are those people who believe that you can murder. Heard gentleman named Mr. Smith, Fins is it, I forget his right name, please. So don't let me quote the individual, but the thought, saying that if you catch a man with a gun, yeah, under this new regime, you must lock him up for more than 15 years. Yeah, 25 years minimum. Yeah, and throw away the key. Yeah, well, if you... that man has absolutely no knowledge of history, because history proves, the history of criminology proves that not only will that not work, but you become as much an opportunity of cruelty as the very gunman himself. And so, therefore, I support the letter in both the Gleaner and the Observer this morning by an attorney. I don't know him, but he's described as an attorney, Mr. Hyatt, who points out that this is not going to work, and that what you are doing is doing a deeper and more dangerous thing when you propose that, and Parliament may take it up, because you have some bloodthirsty people in there who don't think deeply. Yeah. You could tell me, you might say that I was one of them too, but I stand by the unfortunate description I gave. But what this Mr. Hyde points out is that you're attacking the discretion of your judges who try a case, and who, therefore, it is important to leave the discretion of sentence to. You can give them guidelines, but where you speak of this mandate, yes, and enforce that, you take away the discretion of the judges. And you know why I'm commenting on this? Because I went through this in the 1970s with the gun court, where the sentence was indefinite detention. And what did the judges do? They scarcely convicted, because if there was the slightest doubt, or if they saw a possibility of rehabilitation for the person, they said, it is better that I do not convict, because what I would be doing if I convict and have to put a person in indefinite detention, yes, would create a worse personal as well as social disorder than the one I was trying to cure. That was the experience. Don't you see that, legislators? Honorable Horace Chang, you were there too. Well, I don't know if he was, but I don't remember. But there you are. Yes? So let us think carefully what we do. And if you don't learn from history, then you are bound to repeat its mistakes, eh? And that is simply both on constitutional principles and also on practical experience not the way to go. But we are so frightened, we are so distressed, we are so lazy in thinking and unwilling to change what we should do in order to curb what is undoubtedly a very difficult situation, a very dangerous situation, a very murderous situation. You do not match it and hope that you cure it that way. Yes? Years ago, doctors, when a person was hemorrhaging, would leech them with leech more blood from them and think that that was a cure. You know what happened to the patients? They died. All right? So let's be clear. Let's really be clear. Well, it's time for the break. And when we come back, there's more news, plenty views on the early rise on the Bridge 99 FM. And you hear the theme song. Here comes the Honorable Pearnel Charles Sr. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning. Let's thank the Lord for another morning.
That's it. That's the best thing we can
right
do.
Across the world.
Yeah, man.
Some in the afternoon, some in the midday,
some
and the rest
night.
of us in the morning.
Isn't it wonderful?
Thank God for another day.
You see, I was celebrating earlier the institution, the modality of radio, which allows our voices not only to be broadcast so widely, as you have just said, but also to be recorded and replayed at any time.
Anytime.
Yeah, that's a great thing.
And really give us the connection.
Yes.
You don't know, some at work, some going home, some just wake, and the rest of us are here looking at all of them.
Yes. You were taking exception to my views on mandatory minimum sentences.
Yes.
Tell me why.
Because I have an opportunity to examine all that we are putting at mandatory based on the experience of what has passed or is in operation. So let's take what the criminal, the terrorist, the gangster is using the gun to do. The murder, the maim, the mother and the daughter, the mistake, and something to say, look, the pastors have appealed to you. The Ronnie Thwaites have appealed to you. The Pearnel Charles has appealed to you. Say, listen, this M16 that you send and get, you steal money and buy, what you use it for? You use it to kill one another.
Okay, but remember that the killing, the penalty for murder, is not what they're seeking the mandatory minimum for. It is possession of a firearm. Okay? So merely having it, not using it, is what they're saying. Now, we could argue about a mandatory minimum for murder, as you remember.
Yes.
In your younger days and mine, the only penalty for murder was hanging, was death.
Yes.
Okay.
And you faithfully prayed and present the removal of hanging.
You know why? Because I believe that every case ought to be judged under its own circumstances. I believe that is what law and the separation of powers, which is so important in our constitutional order, does. And also because I had the terrible experience, which I will never forget, of walking to the gallows with many people who I genuinely believe were innocent.
Yes.
Okay?
And you didn't walk with me, and up to now, both government, PNP and JLP government, has not done anything for me, who spent the longest time.
Yes.
Almost from the beginning to the end.
Yes. And I regret that.
No trial, no charge, not even a statement.
Yes. And remember, sir, no, how you properly reacted, and others, and I didn't, and I regret this now. When we introduced the gun court law in 1974, was it?
Yes.
Yes. When the penalty for possession of a firearm was indefinite detention, and that
lead to what?
That lead to what?
Indefinite detention if you are found guilty.
Yeah. And therefore, what did that? First of all, was that right? And secondly, was it proportionate? And thirdly, did it work? And on all three answers to those questions, my three questions, I know saying absolutely not.
All right, let me say something to you. There is a reservation in every one of these things. There's
no reservation in a minimum sentence, Mr. Charles.
No, hold on. I'm saying in the presentation of it. In other words, if you said to me, are you in support that a man who takes a gun, go into a home, kill a woman and her 2 children, because he's looking for one of his cronies' family because he didn't get part of the money that was robbed.
Right.
And you'd agree with me, say that man shouldn't stay on earth. But
no, I don't agree with that. But I can understand that much more.
You
but that's not what we're
that.
talking about.
Yes. No, I have to agree with you that in some cases where the indefinite detention is going to hold certain people, the judge or the person who is examining the circumstances under which a person had a gun and was caught.
Right.
If that person was available, or he would have seen it differently than non-military. But that's an outside call.
No, that has to be the norm. Remember,
but you agree with me that some of what you would like not to be mandatory, could be mandatory.
No, I'm against mandatory sentences. I believe in following centuries, not years, centuries of jurisprudence. That you can establish bands of sentencing, yes, but that's quite different from minimum, yes, and you leave the discretion of sentencing to the judge. And if necessary, you can, I concede that there are some instances where you can actually, if the sentence is too light, appeal to a higher court. This is why, sir, it is critical that we do not leave in the hands of the security forces or politicians. Yes? As noble as I believe politicians' political engagement is, the decisions about personal liberty, it is for the same reason that I do not agree with extended states of emergency, because you cannot leave.
You agree with the incidents in some of these things.
The incidents?
Yes.
You mean the tragedy of the crime?
Yeah.
Oh God, of course. I'm against murder, but I don't believe that if you reprise murder with murder, you have done anything except increase the numbers.
Ronnie, that is a sentence I cannot be taken into that lane. How do you take me into a lane where a man take out another man's 10-year-old or girl out of her house, rape her, murder her, cut off her head and throw her body over radials, and say to the crows and the hogs,
oh God,
there's food. And when they find her, all that was left of her was a bath.
No, but I'm not defending that.
No, but hold on, that's what you're defending.
No, absolutely not. No, I reject that.
What would you do to a person like that?
What the harshest possible penalty other than death?
Oh, so let's stay right there and see if we can come to some understanding. What you are saying is that all who become a judge, all of them, have the Ronnie Thwaites mind to say, look here, you leave Brownstone, you head into Trelawney, you miss the house, you say you miss the house, you take the wrong house, you kill the woman that you see. You killed the
No,
two
that's
children.
not what I'm saying. You mustn't caricature what I'm saying.
No. You're saying that as far as you're concerned, that person, mandatory could go for them.
Mandatory what? What is the mandatory?
What would you do?
There are several people who your mythical man who is waking up now and listening to us, who says, kill him right now.
Yes, and what you say?
No, on a different plane.
Does it take him to church and pray with
him?
him?
No, and of course not.
What
of
you
course
say?
not.
What you say?
Life imprisonment is what he deserves.
Life in prison?
Yes.
Not 15 years?
No, but the 15 years has nothing to do with that situation.
Okay.
The 15 years has to do with possession of a firearm. And I'm saying to you, Mr. Charles, that there are large numbers of persons who I know, and I think you know too, who have been able to get a legal firearm. Yes? Who are totally irresponsible, but who will never, will use it to terrorize X and Y. and who will never face the penalty because they happen to have gone through the firearms licensing authority. Okay, yes, Jamaica believes that, and Jamaican people believe that in order to preserve your dignity, you must have a gun.
Yes.
I disagree with that. But apart from that position, what I'm saying is that where a person has an illegal firearm, my political and social and religious experience, yes, tells me that many times the people who you are locking up for illegal possession of a firearm, yes, are not really, they bear responsibility many times, but very often they are not the origin of the crime. The crime is in the man who bring in the gun. The man is those who distribute the guns. And you know how our profession, our previous profession, yes, has been denigrated because of the assertion that your name has been called, my name has been called.
Hold on a bit, you're hot this morning. So
well, of course, because it's true.
Hold on. So the man who bring in the gun.
Yes, sir. Wait a minute. When they?
Hold on.
Which one of them ever convict?
Hold on. That man who's bringing in the barrel of gun.
Yes, sir.
And distribute them to his cronies.
Yes, sir.
You feel that, what sentence you think that?
Heavy sentence, but I would let the judge determine it in the circumstances of the case. Because I believe in the judiciary.
So you have total confidence in all the judges that are going to try, but you don't have confidence in the politicians.
You know why? Because the judge is looking at individual circumstances.
Okay.
He's trying the case.
Yes.
The politician can't try the case. He makes when we go in Parliament, we make a general rule, broad brush.
So
okay?
the judge will have a chance to just straight in brush according to this circumstance.
Okay, sir.
And
let me give you the
I'm agreeing with you.
I know you are. Let us give our listeners a contrast.
Yes.
The criminal, the committed criminal, yes, who live and work by the gun, yes. You catch him with his firearms, yes, and you say he has to get a heavy sentence, provided all that is proved in a court of law.
He has to be removed from society.
Removed, okay?
Yeah.
I'm a Christian, or trying to be, and therefore and I believe the Christian ethic is the correct one for the society. Yes. Therefore, you must always have a prospect for redemption. This notion of imprisonment for life without possibility of redemption, I don't accept. Yeah. But that is very different from the other example of the youth, yes, who are the woman. I've met them, yes, who police raid coming and somebody say, hold that.
Yes.
Put it under the bed, and she's the one in the room. Yes, you're going to, and then when it goes before the judge, Mr. Charles, if you have a minimum sentence of 15 years, what is she going to get?
Oh, yeah, that lady
15 years.
She said that you know that.
Yeah.
And when the man tell her, say, hold it, put it in your brassiere.
Yeah.
She gonna say, me?
Yeah.
No.
Of course. She that's right.
Oh, hold on, but I'm going to take her. Some of them don't have a chance to say no.
No, that's the point.
And so them have to put it in the brassiere.
What wisdom?
Knowing that the police are going to feel the brace.
Yes, sir.
But the gun is in
there.
And so, but one police say, come here, lady, police.
Yes.
Check that for me.
Yes.
And have a Glock in there.
Right, sir.
No, Ronnie.
Why do lawyers, somebody like the former Attorney General, yes, a lawyer, a Queen's Counsel, which is a special oath to uphold the law, could want it otherwise? Could want to say that person must get in a matter, they must get the same sentence? That's not justice.
No.
You can't build a nation of peace without justice. Therefore, I'm annoyed at that.
Let me come with you. Yes. In all of these circumstances,
wickedness,
there are areas that could be reconsidered.
No, but we're going in the wrong direction.
I don't know. You can give the judge several choices. Minimum, maximum, none.
You give a maximum. You give a maximum. You say that this society is clearly wants to denounce possession of a firearm, which is a very hard thing for Jamaica to say, because we are all armed to the teeth. Yes, and we build a culture around possession of a firearm, and then tell those who are miseducated, I'm not excusing them, tell those who are miseducated, vulnerable, don't have any chance to protect themselves. Yes? That boy, if we ever catch you, we're going to shot you on the spot. If
Yeah,
you're
but I think you're missing a look
Am
point.
I?
Those people who have a gun,
Mm-hmm.
they tell themselves,
Mm-hmm.
if I don't have a gun to protect myself,
Mm-hmm.
somebody with a gun is coming to kill me.
Yes, sir. So
You agree with
is
that?
yes, I do, but I'm asking you now,
Yeah.
following my agreement with that.
Yes.
When when that same spirit, that same feeling
Yes,
invades the inner city person
yes,
who has the same notion, but him can't get no gun,
yes.
what is he likely to do?
He like to be killed with somebody who come with a gun.
Right. And so
And so when Sherry is killed, because
And when somebody
she hear that you are going to be and give evidence against my friend
yes, sir.
who them find,
Yes,
so
sir.
you not gonna quote, you're dead.
But more than that, when somebody comes to that person, yes, and says to them, I can get you a gun, and and I know that the only way to protect yourself good in this murderous society is when you have a gun.
Ronnie,
Yes? What him do?
Ronnie.
What him do?
Ronnie, before I answer you, let me tell you, those guys, terrorists, guys, gangsters,
Yeah.
not getting a gun to protect themselves.
No, but
Hold on.
But they prey on others.
They don't get a gun
I'm not.
to protect
I'm
themselves.
under no illusions.
They get a gun to wipe out,
Sure.
to kill witnesses to others,
Yeah.
to thief,
Yes.
to rob,
Absolutely.
to murder,
Yeah.
to rape. And you're saying, tell the judge, who is like me, or you, what special, you say he's trained?
No, the
He's-
judge? Of
yeah.
course, that's exactly why he's a judge. That he's
All of them, Ronnie?
all of them, sir. And you know what you're saying? If you ask that question, sir, you don't want to say it.
Yeah.
You are imputing that there are some who are not able to make decent decisions based on evidence.
No, let me tell you what I'm saying.
You
I'm
mustn't do
saying
that.
that some judges have been are upset that they are restricted to 15.
Brethren, if that
No, some judges
No, but-
are upset that the law is restricting them to
so
15.
so you're going to requite their upsetness? No, sir. We have standards as a society. No, Tony McKenzie and his brother were locked up for what? Two shot indefinite detention. This is a minimum sentences of the same order. Yes, you must not do that. We do not have to do that. We particularly do not have to do that. And it is egregious and worse wrong when we fail to take the steps necessary to avert the social problem that leads, not totally, but leads significantly towards crime.
You said for me this morning.
But no,
And no, but the truth is,
Yeah.
much of what you said is acceptable. What I'm not totally happy with is the alternative. I don't know.
The alternative is
Hold on. The minimum sentence that is being proposed,
Yeah.
whether 15 or 20 years, is not necessarily for the judge. It's to say to those who want to get a gun and have a gun, get rid of it or don't get it, because you see what's going to happen? If you're caught, you're going to be away for a long, long time.
Yes.
So you're saying, all right, we must direct the judge then. You're saying...
that's what law does.
No. You're saying remove the minimum sentence
No, don't. Yes,
Or
no,
the-
yes,
that-
okay.
and say what to the judge?
And say to the judge
What?
that you must determine what is the appropriate sentence given the facts of the case.
But isn't that what they have now, Ronnie?
No, and they do.
And
And
I
there's
give them
no,
all,
and there's no need. There's no need to change that.
and I give them all 4 years or 5 years.
Why do they do that? Have you looked into the facts of that case? Have you looked into the facts of that case?
Some of
It
them.
is the same thing. It is the same thing that is happening. Let's make a parallel with the Olympics right now.
Yes.
Different scene, but the international arbitration on sports.
Yes.
Who said to this little Russian girl who is
Yes.
15 years old?
Yes.
There is a overall ban on anybody found with a positive drug test.
Yes.
But in your circumstances, given the fact that you are only 15,
Yes.
given the fact that that sample was taken 2 months ago, and the analysis of it, the conclusion, catches you in the middle of the thing, we are prescribing what we see as a just response to to the situation. And I say they're right.
Yes,
But no. If you have a minimum sentence, that couldn't happen.
Yeah,
Her career would be ended. You would
Yeah,
have said to her, listen
yeah,
up.
but somebody is going to say that 15-year-old girl did not know
Yeah.
that she was being given a substance that would put her above the others.
Well, look at what you're doing by even saying that.
Yes.
What you're doing is agreeing that circumstances alter cases. A minimum sentence says, don't tell me none of that. You have a positive test, go back to Russia.
Oh, so well, let me state my circumstances alter cases. And that have to be given to the judge to
Of
do
course,
this.
sir. Who else? Certainly not you and I. Certainly not the police superintendent.
So what we should have said that if the judge circumstance and find a case, they have to determine whether minimum or maximum. Not I can't put a minimum that time.
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay.
I think
you win the discussion, but I don't agree with you because there are other people who feel that 15 years is too small.
But of course, what is their humanity?
Ronnie, you agree with me that some of those people who are getting a legal gun, and I use the word some in quotation, are getting a gun for reasons you and I know. To murder, maim, rob.
My view is that is what everybody gets a gun for. But they
may
may lack the guilty intent.
No.
The only purpose of a gun is to kill or to terrorize. The only purpose.
No.
What else?
No.
What is the other purpose?
The person
to
who
protect
gets
and to
person who gets a gun to protect himself is to prevent being killed.
Okay. So how does that not affect a lot of the people who have an illegal firearm? I want a society. Yes.
Yeah.
I want a society which is disarmed.
And how do you? Well, if you disarm me and disarm the criminal, I don't have a problem.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Yes, but do you have that society?
No, you don't, and therefore,
okay. So when you don't have that society, what do you do?
You have to react proportionately, and my view is it is disproportionate to have a blanket position regarding what is an appropriate sentence. And we have to break.
I'm going to let you hold your side.
Yes.
And a lot of people listening agree with you.
No, a lot more people agree with you.
No, I heard a man just say, well, Mr. Charles, you're talking about the minimum.
Yeah.
Minimum mean if him have a gun, him have it for kill, him have it for murder, him have it for rob, him for dead.
Yes, I know. Yes. I know that, so. And that was...
No, I am so nice. I don't agree with that. Because my son, who thinks like you, say he can be rehabilitated.
Yes.
And I commit sin and pray too. And I ask the Lord for forgiveness.
But how can you ask the Lord forgiveness and you refuse to give it? Thank you very much. This is the Early Rise on the Bridge 99 FM. We soon come back. The Early Rise on the Bridge 99 FM, the Honorable Pearnel, Charles and myself, talking about the affairs of the nation. At 6:30, we bring in Senator Floyd Morris, the architect, one of the architects of the Disabilities Act, which is now a law, effective law in Jamaica. He says he feels like jumping. We'll ask him why. Pearnel, Charles, a good thing happened yesterday. A good thing out of a bad thing. Yesterday morning, the courthouse in Brownstown burned down.
Yes.
And yet by midday, we had pictures of the Chief Justice of Jamaica. Yes, who is engaged in a very difficult case right now called the Wandon case. Yes, and he's on site.
Yes.
In Brownstown.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why he's the right man selected.
I believe so.
Chief Justice.
I believe so. And more than the court administrators.
Yes.
The parish judge.
And his team was there.
Yes, sir. And the parish judge says, "You think you're going to stop me administering justice? I'm gone into the sports park next door to the courthouse. Right away, come, call the case." Yes? No, I like that. That shows determination, it shows compassion, and it shows responsiveness.
And it shows also that if it is true, and I'm going to use the colloquial, local word, that the SUS
Yes.
says
Yeah.
is somebody burn it down
Somebody burn it down
because
because.
it's not going to stop
No.
the judge.
Exactly.
Judge said, meet me over Sabina Park.
Come in right
meet
now.
me over
Sure.
Sack Park.
Under the guanga tree if necessary.
Right.
My whole court.
Call the case.
Yes. I like that. And that bigger than just the incident itself.
That's where you're going. To show you what technology has done.
Yeah.
At about 15 minutes, while the smoke was still coming out, I received it on my thing.
Look at that. So I have
could not be half an hour
No.
because it was sent back again when the fire came out.
Yes.
But I don't know why the whole building burned down because the fire station is right in Brownstone there.
Well, I didn't even know the proximity there. There you go. But then, hear me now, sir. So, when such a good thing can happen,
Yes.
yes, and you get that kind of immediate responsiveness, okay? I have a twofold reaction. One, to be very grateful and celebratory of the activity of those people. Now, Mr. Justice Sykes,
Yes.
he could have said, I am presiding over this case, in Kingston,
Yes.
which he in fact came back to Kingston and sat in court yesterday afternoon,
But I've never seen any other judge.
Never react that way.
Yes.
No.
And
This is why we make it, we make the point.
Yes.
Yes.
And they will congratulate him. He's a very serious man.
Yeah.
And by going there,
Yeah.
he's saying
Sent a
if
huge
it is
signal.
true
Yes.
that the SUS is so,
Yeah.
that's not going to
No.
stop me and my
Exactly.
team
Right.
from going on.
Right, sir.
Let's go to the next
Yes,
building.
sir. And I put my personal self on the site to ensure that this is not
That you understand that there's no staying back.
This is not a defeat for justice.
But he also come back to town and did that serious piece of
Made a serious ruling.
exactly.
Yeah, no. That's the spirit. That's the alacrity that will make Jamaica, that betrays the Jamaica spirit, displays the Jamaican spirit, and which must characterize every action certainly of our public service. Okay, when I see that, and I'm not speaking about Mr. Sykes particularly now, but that when I see that kind of reaction, I say yes, that 4% money, extra money that they're getting, it's pity it can't be more, but it's well deserved. There are so many public servants, I don't want to give the chapter and verse now, who spend their life obstructing positive activity in the society.
And that is in every area of society.
Every area, sir. But particularly those who know they can't lose their job. Yes?
Those who win don't care who win.
Well, you see, and one of the big lessons that we have to learn is that we must use authority to empower, not to disable.
Right.
Okay?
Those people.
Yeah, and that's what Mr. Sykes proved to the people of St. Anne and the people of Jamaica, he and his team, yesterday.
Yes.
So that's my first reaction, and that's a good move.
And let me join you and ask those who are hearing to say to Mr. Sykes, both Pearnel and Ronnie agreed
Yeah.
on a particular move and wish
Yes.
that will
Normative.
continue.
Sure. No, but there's another reaction that I have.
Yes.
If that can happen, yes?
Why can't the other areas of society?
Look at what we're doing, sir. We have let me be very particular. The man who succeeded me as Minister of Education, Mr. Roel Reid,
Yes.
he and Dr. Pinnock and members of Mr. Reid's family are accused of certain things. Yeah? That was 2019. This is now 2022.
Yes.
Yes? And they can't get a trial date yet.
Well, it's not that they can't get a trial date. Their side is using very many steps that are provided in the law that you support. So,
I don't support the delays.
well, it frustrates it.
You-
Because
so
if they do this, they can go to London, they can go to
which is all the more reason why we should take the steps to ensure that we do not fall into the trap of justice delayed is justice denied. But I'm thinking of them. I don't know whether they're guilty or not, and I'm making no statement on that. All I'm saying is that their lives are in suspense, and the people's sense of justice is also pending rather than determined in that matter. Yes, all kinds of things are being said about politicians because there are politicians involved, and about the Ministry of Education, which need to be resolved. And yet the system, which reacted so admirably yesterday, yes, in the face of tragedy, can't manage to set an expedient trial. Not only in that case, but that is obviously one in our forefront.
Yeah,
but look,
and it's not the justice system alone, because the lawyers are finding
lawyers are part of the justice system, sir.
Well, okay, but they are finding many ways to protect their client.
Yeah.
So they miss on number one, they go to number two.
No, but they must be allowed to do that, sir.
Three.
We can do it. We can do differently. We can do differently.
Yeah.
Yes.
But then they.
Well, because the system has a built-in torpor, delay mechanism in it. I'm against that. That is not justice. That is a denial of justice. Look at what happened yesterday again. 2 years ago, the effluent from up at the Rio Cobre comes down, kill off the whole of the fish around Kent Village. You know where, in the gorge. Yes. Compromise people's livelihood. Plenty of them said them get sick as a result. A case is eventually brought. Yes. And after 2 years, yesterday it comes up in court, and them said I'm not ready because NEPA, the government regulatory organization, has not shared some of the evidence with the accused, the defense, that they are going to allow. And therefore the matter has to be put off again. Mercifully not.
A destruction in the justice system.
Yes, sir. But what I'm saying is, if we can do good things like we did yesterday,
yes,
in Brownstown, yes, can we change the system more now?
Yeah,
can we use the same spirit?
And a man just say you want to put the dictatorship in the justice system.
No dictatorship. What I want to do, sir, is to have people who are imbued by the spirit of Mr. Justice Sachs and his team, and to say, no, can't go so.
But the man is saying him use the same spirit to protect for him client.
But yes, sir.
Yeah, that you want him give up that?
No, I want him to have a higher purpose. His client can be
about what?
Higher purpose.
Okay.
His client can be protected by a speedy trial, which is essential for justice to be vindicated. Justice for the client, the accused, justice for the interests of the collectivity, which is the prosecution. Whether it is criminal matters, whether it is commercial matters, whether it is civil matters. Yes? You know how many people are stuck now where they might have a terrible injury. Yes, in a let's say a motor vehicle accident or a death of one, and the matter goes to court. Yes?
Years it's going to take.
Years it's going to take. And how the pitney of that person eat, how the medical expenses are paid, sir. And we say, oh, that's normative, oh, we can't do better. We have to set trials now for 2025 and 2026. Yes? And we want people to have faith in the justice system, Mr. Charles?
Yes, because the justice system is not all bad. And in any system, in the political system, you want people to have faith in the political system.
Are you making excuses?
You want people to have faith in the church.
Are you making excuses?
You want people to have system in the educational system.
Yes.
Some people feel just send them to go to no school to no teacher.
No, hold on.
So in other words, there's a maximum and a minimum. You used the word earlier. My mother said, damn if you do, damn if you don't.
Yes, sir.
But there's a fact in what you're saying. I'm not trying to detract from it.
But what is to prevent us from enabling, in the very budget now under consideration, to have 10 more judges here or 20 more clerk of the courts?
Why you don't allow me to ask you the question before you ask me?
All right, sir.
Every day I hear the police celebrating that they have catch up with a few more criminals,
yes,
or a few more people who are wanted.
Uh-huh.
Where are they putting these people?
They're putting them in some jail, pack them up.
But
and they
where are you going to get judged for trying them?
Well, because we're not trying.
Because if you're picking up 10 people a day,
you're supposed to be able to accommodate their trials.
Each of them costing my tax money.
Yes, sir. You know
how much it costs for one?
Over $1 million. The last figure I heard to keep a person in custody is $1.2 million a year. Now, the reaction of some listening to us will be to say, see it, where's some money? Shot them same time. No, you can't do that because that's barbarism.
Because the reaction of me is to get places and get judges.
Right.
Try them.
That's me.
And those who are to go home, go home.
Go home. And those who to go to jail.
And those who, when last have you heard 10 years hard labor? Where the hard labor is?
Again, I'm with you. I'm totally with you. The greatest thing, the worst thing that you could do for any person's character, any hope of reform, yes? You say, and I'm so happy to hear that your son, good lawyer that he is, would be in favor of a reformatory system. If you put me in a situation where I'm idle all day long, lock up, yes? There's no reformation possible, you know. Yeah. Destruction is the only thing. We speak of hard labor, but give no hard labor.
You heard how I extracted that from him?
Yes.
I went to, when I was member of parliament in North Central,
yeah.
I went to a school in Rock River,
yeah.
where my son advised me that this school is in serious condition, yeah. and he was going to try and help. Mm-hmm. So I could visit the school. Mm-hmm. So when I went to see, I saw about exactly there are 14 men in different uniform mm-hmm. on top of the building, mm-hmm. putting on a new top on the school. Uh-huh. So I said, those are foreigners? Uh-huh. He said, no. Who are they? He said, those are people who are locked away. They are prisoners.
Oh.
I said, so hold on a minute now, Minister. Uh-huh. You have the prisoners out here? He said, yes. Uh-huh. Guess what?
Yes.
They are going to be paid.
Yes.
And they're going to send home some money Friday.
Righteous.
I said, then when they run, I said, not one is going to run away.
No.
Ronnie, I said, I'm not going to say it like anybody here.
Yeah.
But it must be illegal for you to have the prisoners out here working.
I don't think so.
He said, it is a part of rehabilitation.
Yeah.
And the man come over, everybody happy.
Yeah.
I said, my Lord.
Yeah. And that's a very good example you've given. I didn't know of it, of course. I didn't know it.
I told him that I think if the minister knew, mm-hmm. he would be fired.
Well, he would have been a righteous. He would have been fired for a righteous cause. Because that is what we must do. That is what we must do. Yes. Here, plant food. Why is it that the agricultural effort out at Tamarind Farm, to my best knowledge, has never made any money? That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Prisoners must work. You must work in order for your therapy, in order to pay for your keep, and in order to be able to send something home for your picnic.
But there was a time when all the cemetery down on Spanish Town, the big cemetery there. Maypen. They would, but you can't carry a man go to sell anymore.
And you have police and you have guard and you have all that. We have to
create those conditions. What it costs you to protect, to keep one man out there?
Yeah. Well, I grant you that the social conditions are poor. But I ask you a broader question.
Yes.
Okay. If any of us, either of us, you were to take away all possibility of meaningful activity, yes? You're not on what the same time, sir?
Well, somebody said to me, Mr. Charles, you retire now. I said, boy, let me tell you something. And I tell you something. Retirement make me tired.
Yes.
I'm tired to sit down and me get in a big belly.
Yeah.
And my foot as swell.
Yeah. So
wife says, listen, don't sit down.
No.
Walk.
So
go find something to do.
To do. Of course, sir. So when you lock up a man now, go back to where we were, 15 years, 25 years, okay? And you make him sit down. Yes? Sit down in a cell. Yes?
But Ronnie, the reason for him in the cell is because the other man rotting in the grave, you know.
Yes, sir. Agreed. But what are you saying?
Are you sorry for one side?
No, I'm not sorry for him at all.
Okay.
All I'm saying is that when you're going to punish, you must be constructive, not further destructive. The act of destruction has already taken place. The man is in the grave. Yes? I would want him to work out who the killer. I would want him to be put in a situation not cruel, but to work out his soul case, that at least
so that it never want to come back when I'm coming.
More than that, so that he earn a money in whatever work he's doing in the institution to send to the relative of the one who we put in the grave, even if they don't need. Excuse me. Yes, that is reparation. Why not? That is why not. Those people who were on the roof of the Rock River School, yes, and the minister at the time was saying they're getting paid and they send something home to their picnic and to the one who they, the family of the one who they wronged. Yes, that's reparation. That's purposeful, not destructive. Well, if you want to denounce destruction, do not commit more destruction in the name of the state.
Well, don't ask me what I would do. Someone asked me what I would do, and I tell him, say, but your son is different from you. I say, yes, you take off thy mother.
We take seriously, make joke. Yeah, but seriously, no. Let us urge, because that's what we do.
Yes.
Discuss and urge. The justice system needs expansion. It needs much more enablement, because it is a travesty, and it is causing some of the lack of trust and the choop's teeth and the cynicism of people when they cannot get their matters.
And I will agree with you. I will agree with you, Ronnie. Yeah. And I'll agree. Same thing with this educational system.
Same thing.
Same thing with many of the. In fact, the question of working is a similar thing. It's as if people have to go back and be taught how to work.
Well, but this is
production.
But hold on, sir. You as a trade unionist, before we break for Floyd Morris, the scourge of our social disorder is the lack of work, you know.
Yes.
Because if you have something...
And the man said the lack of work is because they lack the low pay.
Yes, or they don't have the education and the skills. So, but you can argue yourself into a vicious circle.
Yes.
My view is, yes, do something. I had a situation yesterday of a young lady who called me. She's in great need. She wants to do a particular course at an institution, but she can't get in till November. So I'm asking her, what can she do in the meanwhile? This is February, till November. Have you got any children? No? Okay, keep it that way. We have to support you. Well, I beg a little dinner here, or stay with somebody there, or do a little something. But basically unemployed, yes? That is a scourge. My worry is what is going to happen to her between now and November. Yes?
So if you don't help her to be employed, yes, somebody is going to employ her
to other things.
Other things.
Yes. No, but if you multiply that, and you get into the heads of our people, yes, that we must find something gainful, purposeful to do for everybody. Yes.
Is that possible?
Is it possible?
Yes.
Oh, it must be. It was possible during slavery, so why it can't be possible now? Under freedom.
Because during slavery you had to work.
Well, hold on now.
And they have some now. So even if you pay them, they now work.
Well, in my view, them for have chain gang. Seriously, look at the historical.
I didn't know you would have gone so far.
Hello, sir.
On my side, you would like to have chain gangs.
No, I'm exaggerating, obviously, but I'm pointing out to you that the obligation. Work gives dignity. Work is the purpose of persons.
So education. So you have to first educate people to feel the word you have just said, that work is even exercise.
Yeah, sure.
Work is even getting paid.
Sure.
Better yourself. Take care of your family. And
contribute to others.
Yes.
Yes. So
contribute to your own development, your country, everybody.
Right, yes. So that is the spirit that I want inculcated.
Not just waiting on those in the snow in Canada now
to send
and
you
America who's jumping over the snow bars, side and get up and go and work and send you a barrel.
Right, sir.
And you just sit down and say, eat and belch.
Well, many, it's much harder than that. But I am reminded as we speak of the aphorism of the late, great Hugh Lawson Shearer, that we have to get rid of a freeness mentality. Idleness causes a freeness mentality. Work, come now, you have to do something. Get up and go out.
I hear the little girl just say, but Mr. Thwaites, I look at work now for 1 year and I can't find one job. And I'm dying to go work and I can't get to work.
Exactly.
Well, you can't help me if I get to work, sir.
Yes, sir. And therefore, I want an economy. I want a political economy which emphasizes employment.
Yes.
Not welfare. Welfare is a substitute for employment.
for those who can't work.
Clearly, there are those. Floyd Morris is going to tell us of those who cannot work and have to be supported, who are disabled. And part of the work is to take care of those
and reach a stage.
Obviously.
They should be
get
compensated
retired.
by the state
for
the contribution.
That's where we are.
Yes.
But look, this is deep political economics that we are speaking about. You cannot hope to build a prosperous society based upon people who are marginally employed or unemployed. And this foolishness
I don't know if you can expect to have a society like Jamaica who reach where it can employ all who need to be employed and feed all who are hungry and clothe all who are naked.
So which ones are
and put them in shelter all who don't have.
Right, sir. So which ones are going
that might be the ultimate of where we want to go.
That's the kingdom of
and
God.
somebody else, you have to wait on the Lord.
Yes, but wait now.
The return of the Lord.
So which ones are we going to exclude if we can't manage everybody?
Okay, so then
how are you going to choose which
exclude
one?
Is decide on what level of assistance or what area you can help.
But
who you're going to help.
That has to become a driving concern, and it is not now.
So you have three people.
Yeah.
One is blind.
We have to break.
One is
Yes.
strong.
Yes.
And you only have one job.
Yes.
Which are you going to give?
Well, hard choice. But surely, why we only have one job? We have one job because capital.
Ronnie, you spend the whole night setting for me.
We're going to this is rich discussion on the early rise with Pearnel Charles. We'll soon come back. This is the Bridge 99. Senator Floyd Morris waiting us. Pearnel Charles and myself welcoming Senator Floyd Morris. Morning, Floyd.
Hi, good morning, Ronnie. Good morning, Pearnel.
Why, you are in Jamaica?
Listen, my man, what you talk about if I'm in Jamaica? I mean, I have nowhere else to go.
Well, you talk like you're in Jamaica now.
Floyd Morris, you must have seen The Observer since morning. Floyd Morris there's a picture of The Observer, and it says, "I feel like jumping." Floyd Morris, I have been dancing and singing to Marcia Griffiths from morning because it is a watershed moment in the history of Jamaica. Tell us why, Floyd Morris. Congratulations to you.
Yes, Ronnie, thank you very much. And, Pearnel has also been a part of the process because he was there as Minister of Labour and Social Security as well.
Good.
But I tell you, I'm very happy, Ronnie, because we started this process in 2003 when I was Minister of State. And it went through a long process. Unfortunately, social legislation, go through a tediously long process in this country. And the Disabilities Act fell in that category, and we stuck with it, and we got it passed in the Parliament in 2014, and Minister Samuda committed to ensuring that the effective date was set for the implementation of the legislation, and that came yesterday. And when you look at what the Act seeks to do, Ronnie, in terms of protecting persons with disabilities against discrimination in areas such as education, employment, healthcare, public transportation, housing, political participation, and public life, you can understand my joy and enthusiasm.
Yes.
Because, it is going to be a transformational piece of legislation over the next couple of years.
Yes, the legislation is there.
Yes.
And to me, the harder part is to educate the leaders in the system, the employers, and the non-employers, just the way you treat. Floyd, I remember coming up at the Water Commission, there was a hole there for years.
Yes.
I had to go down there and see to it that it was covered because no blind man could anticipate that on the sidewalk.
Yes.
That hole been there for months.
Yes. And Floyd, the problem, just as Pearnel said, he would have been involved when he was minister with the regulations.
Yes.
And oftentimes do we not find that we pass a bill pass into law, but it can't be brought into effect because the regulations take a long time.
Right, right.
Yes,
Never have to take so long.
Yeah.
That is a major deficiency
Yes.
in terms of our legislative process, and it's something that we as legislators have bemoaned from time to time, because we in the parliament, we pass the legislation, we pass the regulation, but the bureaucrats have to put these things together and send to the parliament so that we can approve them.
Yes.
And there needs to be a greater alacrity in terms of the preparation and submission of these things. So whilst you're working the legislation, the bill itself, there should be a simultaneous work on the regulation.
That's a good general comment. But I want to ask former legislator Charles and also Senator Morris. I hear some voices saying to us, this is wonderful, but can we afford it? Isn't there an irony, Senator Morris, former Speaker Charles, that the Parliament is passing this legislation, bringing it into effect now, and you still can't come to Parliament if you are challenged and get up the stairs. I'm remembering the frown on the usually genial face of the late Dr. Heather Littlewhite, who was confined to a wheelchair and who wanted to make a submission to a committee of Parliament and could not be entertained to do so. We had to move the committee to another building, the Chamber of Commerce building, because that was the only building that had wheelchair access. We have to do some things quickly, Floyd?
Absolutely, Ronnie. And, I say to individuals, there are going to be challenges, but, if we don't put in place the measures, those challenges will never be addressed, because we cannot afford to continue on the current architecture where 15% of our population is isolated from the mainstream of society. And so, the Parliament will have to make the institution accessible, and they must understand that as the highest decision-making body of the land, they are not beyond going to being hauled before the Disability Rights Tribunal for violation. So they better know that they have to put in place the hydraulic lift that I understand that they have purchased.
Yes, there's an article this morning.
Install it and make sure that, persons who are wheelchair users can access. Because persons who are deaf, persons who are blind, can enter the Parliament. Yes. It's just those who have a physical disability would have a challenge.
Yes, got you.
I have to agree. Yes. And I'm going to give myself some credit. We built many steps that the wheelchair can come in.
Ramps,
right? And this is, it goes back now to planning.
Yes.
All buildings.
Right.
That has to go to the parish councils.
Yes.
It has to be a part of the presentation, so that and certain types of what you say, even the sidewalks, how they are built.
Yes.
The wheelchair cannot go up.
Right.
But you have to make preparation for that. So it's a whole new education.
Explain to me, Floyd Morris, how this will work, because it would seem to me that given the legislation, all building permits for public facilities as well as private facilities would now have to pass a test of being accessible in all respects for challenged people.
Absolutely. But before I respond to that, I must say that, I am very grateful and thankful that there will be a new Parliament building, and in the design of that parliamentary building, that has been taken into consideration, accessibility features. So it would be fully accessible, and that is why I strongly support and encourage the construction of a new Parliament building. But the legislation that will deal with accessibility building is the Building Act that was passed in 2018.
Yes.
And that Building Act has inscribed in it the building code. So the new buildings that are being built, whether it be private or public, has to be built with accessible features, and it is incumbent upon the parish councils to ensure that
Say it
these
clearly.
access features
Yes.
are part of the buildings
Yes.
that are being developed.
I hear some voices saying to us, Pearnel, look, all this is all well and good, but who's going to pay for it? Can we afford this?
Well, this is one thing that I would be very happy
Yes.
to make a contribution
Yes.
from whatever I have, because this is like a new nation that has never been considered, neither for sidewalks, for entrance to building, or from moving from one room to the other, or even getting into an elevator.
Yes.
All of these things have never been considered. It has been done in some countries, and we just have to look on the left or the right and see that the examples are there and we can go after them.
Floyd Morris, is there going to be sufficient monitoring? Do we have the capacity? Do we have the will for sufficient monitoring that this legislation is an active force for good rather than an early dead letter?
Well, I tell you, there's going to be a number of things, and I can tell you, mark my word on this 15th day of February, Ronnie, that this letter, this legislation will not be an inactive and a dead piece of legislation. Because as long as I am involved with Jamaica and I'm at the University of the West Indies and in the Parliament, I am going to be pressing for its implementation. And I know the same of the Combined Disabilities Association.
Good.
I know the same of the Jamaica Society for the Blind, the Jamaica Association for the Deaf, and the Jamaica Association for Persons with Intellectual Disability, and all the other disability organizations will be pressing for its implementation.
Yes.
Plus, the staffing for the new JCPD will take into consideration a team to be monitoring. Different facets of the legislation. So, there are provisions. And via how the legislation is constructed, there is going to be a disability rights tribunal.
Yes.
And it mandates the new JCPD. When a person with a disability have a growth, when a person with a disability believes that he or she, their rights have been violated, the complaint is taken to the JCPD.
Yeah.
The JCPD conducts an initial investigation.
Yes.
And dependent on the nature of the problem, they can do a number of things. They can recommend mediation.
Yes.
Or they can try and settle the matter amicably with the parties.
This law.
Ronnie, Floyd, you'll have to agree with me that there has been, we have started a few years ago to re-educate the society to look at people with disability.
Can I give you an instance?
But before you do
yes,
the whole
please.
yours,
Go ahead.
Ronnie, I am walking from Manning's Hill. I'm driving from Manning's Hill down to Meadowbrook
Yeah.
about 11 o'clock one night. And saw a man coming. I said, what the hell is this man doing here this hours of the night?
Yeah.
Him alone walking, coming up.
Yeah.
And about 3 nights I drive again. I said, the same man.
Yeah.
I said, but this man look like him take it as a duty to walk at night. Somebody said to me, him blind, so him don't know the difference between day and night. And the man is walking, running better than
Confidently.
me. Confidently.
Okay.
So the education process,
Yes.
Floyd, has started in buildings and in sidewalks and in the acceptance of, remember you used to laugh after some blind people,
Yes, we did.
and laugh after some people.
Yeah, and
Man, a
don't throw
liquid
after them.
stick.
Yes. all
Right.
that, yes.
Right.
But then you see, this is where I want to give some credit. Floyd Morrison, the Disabilities Act is a triumph. Both Pearnel and particularly yourself are architects of that, and we accord you all the kudos for that. But now we have to have a disposition to build the consciousness about the equality and the dignity of all persons, challenged or not. On Sunday last, I attended the 100th anniversary church service for Grace Kennedy, and I was very impressed that they brought a challenged person who they have provided an office for and a role for within their company to read the lesson. And you would have expected that they would have had one of their stush directors or somebody. No. They sent a signal that grace is equal opportunity for everybody. Yes. And I commend them for that.
I'm certain that Curtis Sweeney did an excellent job in
that?
Curtis Sweeney, yes. He's
well, Floyd, let me congratulate you, because believe me, your support outside of Parliament, outside of the governance and the government
advocacy
has been something that has pushed us.
Yes.
You have been an architect of this.
Indeed.
And I congratulate you.
Well, no, I want to take...
Thank you very much, my friend.
I want to take the discussion before we have to close to another level. Floyd Morris made a statement, Pearnel Charles, about social legislation and how difficult it is to have it enacted and what the many loops and years that have to pass. My view is that when the money is short to do things with economic bite, yes, reforming, upgrading social legislation like the Disabilities Act, yes, is the way in which you meet people's needs even when your pocket is low. Why is it, Floyd Morris, that this has taken so long? How is it that we're going to have a different approach, that social legislation, yes, doesn't become the optional extra, but becomes the centerpiece of legislative and political activity? What do you say, sir?
Well, Ronnie, this is where I say that the trajectory of the political directorate has to be accorded with and enforced by the bureaucracy. Because a lot of times the political directorate has a sense of urgency where the legislation is concerned. But the bureaucratic structure doesn't give that same urgency to the legislation. And we must find a way where once a legislation is passed by Parliament, the regulation must come to the Parliament within 3 months.
Okay.
And if we can find a way to incorporate that in law, I think it will give a greater level of urgency on the part of the bureaucracy to get these regulations in place, because it's not the minister that designs regulation. It is not the minister.
No.
It is the technocrat that engages in that.
Council
and they have to do their work.
Yes, well, and they will tell you they need much more support and we have to give it. But it's not only the Disabilities Act, Pearnel. Look at what we've faced recently. Floyd is probably coming to you in the Senate. Look how many years it has taken after the passage of the new Road Traffic Act to get the regulations in place.
Right. That's a classical example.
You're talking about the Road Traffic Act?
Yes, sir.
Look at this one that I just told you about, the health.
Occupational health. Yes.
That is my baby. Ronnie, when I was speaker, it came back for 1 year in a joint select committee. They're there every day amending one. And I called the chairman. I said, why are you trying to do what the lawyer is supposed to do? Send it back to the drafters. And it took 1 year. And after the 1 year, with their total amendment, they send it back.
But Pearnel, it
and
was
people,
very good.
People are still wearing slippers and the building, marina, no hat, no hard this, and black dropping on them head, and them slip shoeboard and broke foot.
Indeed,
and
so much
there's
more
no
needs to be
protection
done.
in the construction industry for those people.
Floyd?
Similarly.
But I was saying to Pearnel that it is very good that that Joint Select Committee was presiding over the legislation, because it is in presiding over the legislation and debating it at the Joint Select Committee that you detect the flaws, the errors in the legislation,
Yes.
and you have to document that now to send it back to the ministry for specific action. So it don't make sense. You send it back to them, and you don't have a directive to give them as to what they should do.
But
So
at the same
what-
time, the process can be speeded up, can't
Yes,
it?
man. You just bring the drafters to one of the
Yeah, that's-
meeting, and you go through the
Yes.
documents, and you make
Yes.
notes, and they know exactly what you want. You are not lawyers, because when you do it, remember, the men are waiting to take it to court. So if it's
Yes.
not legal,
There you are.
you have a problem.
But social legislation has to become a priority, Senator Morris.
Full support of that.
It has to be, because I tell you, Ronnie, when you look at the problems bedeviling our society and contributing to crime, because crime is a manifestation of the plethora of social problems that we have. I mean, I can tell you, I have been saying for the longest time, Ronnie, that, we exclude and isolate children with from the education system with disabilities and don't even realize what we are doing. Some of them have dyslexia, some of them have dysgraphia,
Sure.
problems with maths and English. And we just push them through the system, and they graduate and become pawns and for gangs, and, the cycle of criminality takes place, right? So there's a connection between disability and the criminality in our society.
Yes.
And I'm saying, if we don't get social legislation in place to correct some of these deficiencies, then we are going to be forever in problems.
Sure.
And the priority must be given to fixing these social problems. And so, it is not about just getting money bills to the parliament. We have a mechanism where once it's a money bill, it can be passed within a day in the parliament.
Yeah.
But
We want a similar situation for social legislation.
Yeah.
Ronnie, Floyd, let me give you two quick ones that bothers me. So the other day, I would say hell pop, because if you have a dark glass driving around, the police will stop you. Then motorbike, I see about 14 men on Boulevard and motorbike, not one of them on a helmet,
No.
right? I mean, so
So,
people stop wearing the seatbelt.
well, there you are. No, look now. Those are things.
So this education
Yes.
has to go on and on. It's not just for the legislation.
Yeah. But I grant you, legislation has
It's
to be
important.
accompanied by public education.
Yeah.
And therefore, Floyd, the last question to you, because obviously we're trying to fill a little of that this morning by this interview and by the other publicity. But the Disabilities Act needs to be broadly explained again, and the consciousness of Jamaican people of its terms and of the morality behind it has to be deepened considerably.
Yes, Ronnie. I mean, it has to be, and there has to be an ongoing, what I call in-your-face public education campaign
Yes.
to make sure that people understand what it is. A fundamental part of it, is going to be attitudinal change,
Hard.
So people will realize that, a person with a disability is a human being,
Yeah.
and that disability respects absolutely no one.
Yeah.
You can be able-bodied today and disabled tomorrow. I mean, my good friend Pearnel has a hearing impairment, and it galls me, and I used to curse people when they said anything bad about him, and them said to me, but how you are defend Pearnel, so, and Pearnel are your opponent. The fact of the matter is that Pearnel is my friend first, but I also know that he has a hearing challenge. And the same thing. I remember, seeing Mr. Siaga coming to the parliament, the stadium a couple of years ago, and he came in a wheelchair. I must say, look at that. Mr. Siaga was a vibrant, and Pearnel can talk about that, a vibrant, active individual. But in his old years, age has impacted on his mobility. So disability respect absolutely no one.
Which of us is not disabled?
Absolutely. It can affect you in your early years,
yes.
and it can adult you in your senior years. So we have to construct a society that is prepared to accommodate all our citizens.
But that is
said the difference between incident and accident.
Yes, very, very slim.
Absolutely.
Yes, but that involves the attitudinal change of which Senator Morris speaks, and it involves a deep sense of respect for all human persons and for all that God has created around us. It's a moral change that we're talking about, gentlemen.
Ronnie, just what you just said?
Yes, sir.
With fellows and probably Floyd don't even know.
Yes.
Or if he know, he wouldn't use it as one of his presentations.
Yes.
His fight has brought many of us to recognize how wrong we were.
Yes.
And also, many people who have disability did not know that they have a place in society.
Well, this is it. And
did not know that the law permits the sidewalk to fix them and don't drop in the pothole.
There's a last point I want to make, Senator, because we are a society, even in the diaspora to which we are speaking principally, often makes these distinctions. Here are two men inspired by their Seventh-day Adventist faith and me, a Roman Catholic cleric, who are agreeing on how important it is to uphold the dignity of all of God's creation. Yes?
Absolutely.
No, isn't that, I hope that that's a lesson that others will say, give thanks and follow. That's a good thing.
Yes. I think is that what happens is that we might have different points of view about the doctrine.
Yes.
But one thing we are united around is Christ and our destiny.
Yes.
Our destiny is heaven.
Which is a really important thing.
Likewise, in politics, Pearnel and I might disagree on...
don't leave out Ronnie, because... Ronnie, Floyd, let me tell you before you go. Ronnie set up the whole night last night for me. And when he come this morning, boy, let me have it. So I hear a man in bed say, poor Pearnel this morning. Ronnie catch him.
Floyd don't have any sympathy for
One
him.
thing me and Pearnel are united is that we want to have a better Jamaica.
Indeed, and that's what we do. Senator Floyd Morris, thanks for your part in it, and particularly we're overjoyed to celebrate with you the coming into being of the Disabilities Act. Much obliged to you. Keep up the struggle. And Pearnel Charles, thanks you for your company this morning, sir. We look forward to tomorrow on the early rise.
Set for you.
On the bridge. Set for me.
You're set for me. Last night.
Mere quick, no. Thanks to everybody who has made Early Rise possible. Stay tuned to the bridge to the world.